Good afternoon and welcome to the New York City Council hearing of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection. At this time, can everybody please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go up to the Sergeant at Arms desk to fill out a testimony slip. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you for joining today's legislative hearing before the Council's Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection. Before I begin with my opening statement, I want to acknowledge my colleagues who are present. Majority Leader Farias, Councilmember Nurse, thank you for joining. My name is Julie Menon, Chair of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection, and I want to thank everyone for joining for today's hearing on Introductions 780 and 1081. Since the Fair Workweek law went into effect in 2017, DCWP has received more than 800 Fair Workweek complaints, opened more than 400 investigations, and obtained resolutions requiring over $29 million in combined fines and restitution. As one of the most comprehensive fair scheduling laws of its kind, New York City's Fair Workweek law now serves as a model for local government leaders all across the country. While we, of course, celebrate the agency's accomplishments, we also want to ensure that each complaint is given careful consideration and that DCWP is conducting investigations in a timely manner. My bill, Intro 1081, would require DCWP to confirm receipt of a complaint to the complainant within 30 days. This legislation would improve transparency, and I look forward to hearing from DCWP about how they would implement Intro 1081. We will also hear Intro 780, sponsored by Councilmember Nurse, which would align the requirements of the Earn, Safe, and Sick Time Act and the Temporary Schedule Change Act. This bill would improve access for workers who seek temporary changes to their work schedule, and it would authorize the use of safe and sick time for those providing care for a minor child or care recipient, or to attend a legal proceeding for subsistence benefits or housing. The committee looks forward to hearing from DCWP and other stakeholders about the ways this legislation would improve and streamline worker protections. I will now turn it over to Councilmember Nurse to make a statement on Intro 780.
Thanks, Chair. You summed it up pretty well. So I'm just looking forward to hearing your feedback on these bills and the opportunity to streamline time for workers. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now call representatives of the administration to testify. We will be hearing testimony today from Commissioner of DCWP, Vildevera Mayuga, Deputy Commissioner for the Office of Labor and Policy Standards, Elizabeth Wagoner, and Assistant Commissioner of External Affairs, Carlos Ortiz. Welcome and thank you all for being here. I will now turn it over to Committee Counsel to administer the affirmation.
Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Menin and members of the committee. I am Vilda Vera Mayuga, Commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, DCWP. I am joined today by my Deputy Commissioner of our Office of Labor Policy and Standards, Elizabeth Wagoner, and my Assistant Commissioner of External Affairs, Carlos Ortiz. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on Introductions 780 and 1081 and to highlight our comprehensive worker protection efforts across the city. DCWP enforces key protections and offers financial empowerment resources that improve critical aspects of New Yorkers' daily economic lives. We ensure that consumers who have been deceived or exploited have recourse, that workers have a passionate defender of their rights, and that all New Yorkers have the support they need to improve their financial health. Since 2022, DCWP has helped put more than $1 billion into the pockets of New Yorkers through debt relief, restitution, minimum pay standards, and financial empowerment programming. DCWP serves as the city's central resource for workers in New York City and a dedicated voice in city government to the issues workers face. DCWP enforces key municipal workplace laws that provide workers with greater stability in their schedules, income, and employment. Thank you. No, it's okay. One of our cornerstone workplace laws is New York City's Paid Save and Sick Leave Law, PSSL, covering nearly 4 million workers across the city. As a working parent myself, I rest easier knowing that if I need to take care of my children or my mother when they are sick, I will not face any repercussions when I go back to work. PSSL ensures New Yorkers have the right to take paid time off work to care for themselves or loved ones when they're sick, need preventive care, or to access services or take safety measures related to domestic violence, sexual violence, stalking, or human trafficking. New Yorkers should never have to make a choice between their health and safety or the health and safety of their loved ones and their livelihood. Another one of our key workplace laws for Workweek was designed to provide workers with greater job and income stability by prohibiting irregular and unpredictable scheduling practices. Since the law went into effect in 2017, DCWP has received over 900 complaints and launched more than 400 investigations. This includes the largest worker protection settlement in New York City history, our 2022 settlement with Chipotle for violations of the Fair Workweek and Paid Safe and Sick Leave laws, which delivered over $20 million in restitution to approximately 13,000 workers. In 2023 and 2024, we built on that success, recovering over $10 million in additional monetary relief for fast food and retail workers under the Fair Workweek law. We are very proud of these successes, not only because they have put money back into workers' pockets for harms they experience, but also because they ensure that companies operating in our city understand the responsibility to comply with the law. DCWP also pairs its strong enforcement with proactive outreach. Our team works tirelessly to ensure that New Yorkers know about and can exercise their rights under the Paid Safe and Sick Leave, temporary schedule change, and Fair Workweek laws, and all of our other workplace laws. Our education and outreach efforts inform workers through presentations, informational gatherings, and high visibility events, partnering with key community-based organizations. Just last year, we held 259 worker-focused outreach events, serving 34,000 constituents and educating New Yorkers on workplace rights. Turning to today's legislations, DCWP supports Introduction 780, which would provide New Yorkers with more protected reasons to take time off in order to care for themselves or their loved ones. The bill expands the reasons a worker can use paid sick and sick time, enabling workers to care for their children or family members with disabilities. It would also allow workers to use safe and sick time for certain legal obligations, such as a fair hearing for SNAP benefits or a housing court hearing. This bill would also require 16 hours of unpaid safe and sick time in addition to the 40 or 56 hours of paid safe and sick time that the law already provides. In addition to expanding protections to the full universe of people currently covered by the Paid Safe and Sick Leave law, this bill would also benefit an estimated 1 million households in New York City with children under the age of 18 and 1.3 million New Yorkers who care for family members with disabilities. We strongly support these amendments that are common sense changes to help keep New Yorkers healthy, safe, and housed. DCWP is committed to ensuring that New Yorkers can exercise their rights under the Paid Safe and Sick Leave and temporary schedule change law, and we applaud Council for working to expand the protections that these laws afford. Introduction 1081 would require DCWP to confirm receipt of every complaint alleging a violation of the Fair Workweek law within 30 days. It would also require DCWP to notify the employer of every complaint within 90 days of receiving the complaint. While we support the intent of the bill, we do have concerns with regard to unintended negative consequences for workers and employers. Currently, confirming receipt of complaints with workers within 30 days is standard practice at DCWP, and we support memorializing this in local law. However, requiring the department to notify an employee within 90 days of a complaint we receive from a worker could potentially harm employees by revealing their identity or negatively impact our investigative process. So we look forward to working with the Council on this legislation as it advances in the legislative process. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before your committee on our essential work uplifting New Yorkers and today's legislation. DCWP remains committed to our efforts to protect workers and keep businesses in compliance with the law in collaboration with our partners in the council. I welcome any questions you may have for further discussion.
Great, thank you so much for your testimony today. So I do have a number of questions, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues for their questions. So I know you mentioned that since 2017, there had been 900 complaints of Fair Work Week. I wanted to focus on more recent years. So 2024, for example, how many complaints did DCWP receive related to violations of the Fair Work Week law in 2024?
We received 206 complaints last year.
I'm sorry, how many?
206.
206. And how has that compared to, I know it's 900 overall. Are we seeing, is it relatively static year to year, the data, or are we seeing swings?
But the previous years. Yeah. Maybe a few more.
Yeah.
Just cause.
Yeah, it's been going up a little bit. I mean, 2023 was 159, but if you include just cause of 56, that will bring it to just above 200 as well.
And in
And
20...
Chair, I wanted to add to that piece as well. You know, in general, we have been seeing complaints received by the agency increase over the past few years. I think a big part of that is because we were able to update our systems and create an online portal for folks to submit complaints, and that also led to an increase in us being able to hear more directly from workers and process their issues faster.
Great, thank you. And how long is it taking the agency to close out a complaint in 2024? How many days specifically?
Specific to Fair Work Week?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we've been trending downwards on that, which we're very proud of. It took 87 days in 2024 to close out complaints, investigations.
87, okay. No, that is good news, because I know in 2023 it was 156 days, which is a long time. So it's great to see the agency make that progress in that regard. In terms of the paid safe and sick leave in 2024, how many complaints in 2024? And the same question, how long is it taking the agency to close out those complaints?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We received in 2024 436 complaints related to paid sick and sick leave, and it did take 153 days to resolve investigations.
What can be done to bring that 153 days down? I mean, obviously resources, and I know you and I have just the other day had that conversation, how I believe the agency is stretched too thin, is being asked to do too many things with limited resources. So what can be done to bring that number down so that workers have confidence that their complaint will be resolved expeditiously?
Yes, no, thank you for that question. I mean, it has been trending down in terms of the amount of days that it's taking us, also in paid sick and sick leave law, on the amount of days to resolve an investigation. We did put in our fiscal impact statement for the bills that we're discussing today as well. That would certainly, like you said, it always helps when there's like a new mandate or something that's gonna expand a bill, like what are the resources that will be needed. I will say that workers should 100% trust that their investigation is being resolved as expeditiously as possible. And there's a number of factors that always will impact a case. It could be, you know, for somebody who may make a retaliation claim, right? They might have lost their job because of a certain violation of the law and they want their job back, that we're gonna expedite that because we obviously want some people to get their income as soon as possible. And there are other factors that may impact the resolution of a case, such as how quickly, how responsive an employer may be to our request for documents. Complainants themselves, right? Like sometimes we ask them for additional information so that we can have a better understanding of the allegations that have been made, and that's also going to impact how things are resolved, how big the case may be. Sometimes a worker may bring a complaint and we receive a few others, and then we realize that by a number of questions and what we're receiving, we've decided that it should be a workplace-wide investigation. So that's gonna probably take a little bit longer because we're gonna look at an entire workforce at a location. So there's a number of factors that impact, but the number is trending downwards. We're constantly looking at, especially technology, right, how it may be able to assist us in expediting the steps that we take. And our data scientists, I really praise their work a lot. Everybody does amazing work, but I think that the mastery of the numbers from that group of individuals also always helps us move as fast as we can.
Okay, I also want to note we've been joined by Councilmember Brewer. In terms of the budget and the January plan, what is happening with additional resources to the agency, and how will that impact the implementation and execution of the laws we're speaking about at today's hearing?
Thank you, and seriously, thank you so much to you and everybody else advocating for our agency and the work that we do. We got wonderful news of getting new resources in the January plan. Those are specifically for the hotel licensing bill that we testified about as well, and the broker bill, and then also the youth and financial empowerment initiative that we are, I know I am uber excited about to get going. So anything else, like today, we putting in fiscal impact statements for it, and once the bills pass and all that, we will continue to have those conversations with OMB so that we can be properly resourced as requested for the bills presented.
So for the new lines that are in the January plan, will they cover these laws or no? They're more for the hotel licensing, the broker fee bill, financial literacy.
Correct.
Those three areas. Okay, understood. In terms of, you mentioned in your testimony about 1081. So the goal obviously is always to protect workers and to protect against any type of retaliation. In terms of, so your view is that this would codify notification to workers within 30 days. We obviously don't want to do anything to in any way jeopardize workers in terms of from the employer standpoint, so I'm fine with a friendly amendment to that. Any other thoughts on codifying the 30-day worker notification part of the bill?
Fully support that, council member. I mean, it is part of our practice to notify workers of received other complaint within the 30 days, even less than that in practice right now. So we are in favor of codifying that practice into law.
And how and at what point are you notifying a complainant that their complaint has been received?
It's pretty instantaneous right now because of technology again, especially if somebody files a complaint through our portal, there's an automatic message that they receive that assigns them a number so that they can use that number for any questions they may have. If they do it by phone, then they're already speaking with a live person who will provide that information as well. So it's pretty instantaneous at the moment. I mean, there's a very small number that we may receive on the mail, and then will take a little longer because of snail mail, but it's pretty instantaneous right now.
Okay, I also want to mention we've been joined by Councilmember Osei, and just for his benefit, I want to mention that the commissioner just mentioned, I don't know if you heard when you were walking in, there are going to be additional lines, 15 lines, right, 15, correct? 15 lines? Or you're not committing to the
I don't remember the exact
you don't
number.
they're getting additional lines at DCWP that are in the January plan that are meant to implement the hotel licensing bill, the broker bill, and financial literacy. So just want to make sure you heard that. And Carlos let me know about that too. Yeah. Thank you so much. Exciting. Okay. A few more questions, and I'll turn it over to my colleagues. So you mentioned about how you're notifying the worker. Now, what about the employer? Because I had heard some instances where, for whatever reason, the employer was not notified, and then they would, they were not in a timely manner then getting back to the agency, and that would then delay the complaint being resolved. So that was really the issue that I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that question. And we care about the workers. We also care about the businesses. I mean, we do take an education first approach, and we try to offer many educational opportunities for businesses to know the law. Our Office of Labor Policy and Standards does webinars, does one-on-ones. We have some YouTube videos available for them to look at, and we welcome presentations to the industries that are impacted by various laws so that everybody, we don't like to play gotcha. And our concerns with any timeline, any time frame that we're required to notify an employer of a complaint, there's a number of factors. Number one, we don't want to do it piecemeal. We don't want to confuse businesses, and every time we get a complaint, let them know. We rather take the time to comprehensively look at the issue that is presented by one or multiple complaints, so that we can present one document to the business and say, there are these allegations, and here are the documents that will help us figure out, is there a violation or not, and if there is one, what is the magnitude of that? So we think it's more beneficial also for the business to know that. We also have sometimes complaints where the complainant may withdraw a complaint after they filed it with us. So we don't want to start a process if there's not really going to be an investigation. We may also receive a complaint, and it does happen, where there is actually not a violation of the law once we look into it without having to contact the employer. So we don't want to make any business worry if there's actually not a violation of the law just based on the information that we have from the complainant. I'm speaking with a complainant. And then the last piece is one that really worries us, right, which is we don't want to have anything counter to what's already in the law about not disclosing the identity of a complainant, right? We take that really to heart, and it's really helpful for us to not have to disclose the identity of a complainant. And even if you were to remove a name, an address, certain identifying information, it generally is pretty easy for a business to figure out who filed a complaint if we do it like that, versus just looking at the totality of the issues and presenting a comprehensive letter to a business and saying, we received complaints alleging these things, please provide these documents. So those are the concerns we have with putting a time frame into the bill.
And what additional resources would the agency need to better implement and enforce both Fair Work Week and paid sick leave?
Thank you, Council Member. We did put in our fiscal impact statement where we would anticipate 2 inspectors, an attorney, and an outreach associate to implement Intro 780, and 2 inspectors to implement Intro 1081.
Okay, thank you. I'm now going to open it up to my colleagues for questions. Councilmember Nurse.
Thanks. I just had one question because a lot of the questions I had were answered in your in the conversation. But can you just, for the record, describe what outreach and education looks like for the temporary change law and what I'm calling ESTA?
Thank you, Councilmember, and thank you. We really support the legislation you've introduced. I think it's common sense protections that we want to make sure that individuals have access to, and also take an opportunity, Councilmember Brewer, because I know paid sick and sick leave law, when you started it, it's a cornerstone law for us that really made us become a worker protection. I know it is your law, so we really thank you for kickstarting us in our worker protection space. In terms of outreach, I mean, we work with community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, your offices, right, to make sure that as many people as possible receive the information. It looks different ways. It could be just like we do for businesses. We may do webinars. We may do Facebook Live events. You know, a lot of community-based organizations that are worker-focused and really public-facing offer a lot of those that make it for better reach for the community. We'll do live presentations. We'll go to events, different things that we may do. Just last year, we did 259 events specifically to outreach. And with that, we estimate that we reach 34,000 constituents. We're very proud of also this council for passing that legislation. I think you all have in front of you the booklet of the Bill of Rights, the Worker Bill of Rights. That's been instrumental and very helpful for our outreach to include not just the laws that you mentioned, but all of them, because it gives individuals a tidbit, right, of what the law is there to protect and how they can file a complaint or reach the proper agency to get their issue addressed. So those are some of the ways. I don't know if Assistant Commissioner Carlos Ortiz wants to add anything.
No, I think that covered it all pretty comprehensively. Members of the committee did receive a booklet with the Worker Bill of Rights, and it mentions key components too about paid safe and sick leave, temporary schedule change, pursuant to some legislation that we worked on with Councilmember Brewer, as well as the Fair Work Week laws as well.
And what was your budget line for outreach and education last year, and what are you planning to ask for this year?
I don't, currently our outreach team has 5 individuals who work on that team. And then with respect to the instructions mentioned today, we are requesting in the fiscal impact statement an additional outreach associate.
Okay.
They're a small team, but they cover a lot of ground. The 259 events focuses on our worker rights, but overall, we typically hit around 600 on average events a year.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you for all your work on everything, but paid sick, as I call it in particular. So we did pass, I hope it hasn't had to be used, but we did pass a while ago in this council the notion of private right of action. Has that been used? I hope not, because you don't want to get to that point, but I would just wanted to get an update.
So we're not aware of any cases filed yet, but it doesn't mean that they're not filed, just workers or nobody has notified us that they've taken advantage of that provision.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. I think that means that you're doing your job, and hopefully the employers are doing theirs. That's number 2. This 780 talks about another 16 hours for disabled children, which makes sense to me. How do you find the calculations are made? Obviously, 5 days, you have it under hours, but to me it's 5 days. It's easier maybe to calculate than, I don't know, 4 hours to go to housing court if you're lucky, 4 hours to go to HRA for SNAP benefit. How does that work in terms of calculation?
So the idea here would be to broaden the list of reasons that workers can use their paid safe and sick time, and also to integrate the temporary schedule change protections with the paid safe and sick leave protections. And so, the idea is, for example, if someone has just childcare needs, not a sick child, just childcare, they would be able to use their paid safe and sick time for that. Assuming they have 56 hours of paid time, it would be an additional 16 hours in addition, and those additional 16 unpaid, just as it is now under the temporary schedule change law. We would anticipate that employers would administer that benefit all sort of together as a single benefit, so that it's easy for workers to understand how to use it and for employers to administer it. Hopefully that answers the question,
Yeah, so if
Councilmember.
you go to housing court, if you go to HRA to wait in line for food stamps or whatever, that would all be, you need any verification, or it would be part of the 16 hours?
The idea is it would all be one bank, and it would actually be not just the 16 hours, but the 56 hours, assuming your employer has more than 100 employees, with the same sort of requirements for documentation, et cetera, which
But
currently is
over 2 days, blah, blah, blah.
actually over more than 3 days is what it is. That's right.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions for the administration? No. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm now going to open the hearing for public testimony. I want to remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum should be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but they may submit transcripts of such recordings to the sergeant at arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the sergeant at arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, Intro 780 and 1081. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the sergeant at arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Within 72 hours of this hearing, audio and video recordings will not be accepted. So before I call the first panel, I also want to mention we've been joined by Councilmember Abreu. Okay, first panel is Shyamala Ramakrishna, Kathleen Irwin. If you could both please come up. Is this one panel? So the Zoom. And the third member of the panel is on Zoom, and that's Rebecca Cook-Mack. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for convening this hearing, Chair and members, and for the opportunity to testify. I'm Shyamala Ramakrishna. I'm a legal fellow at A Better Balance. A Better Balance is a national legal advocacy organization headquartered here in New York City. We've developed expertise on paid sick leave laws, including New York City's Earned Sick Time Act, along with Councilmember Brewer, and we helped lead the coalition that fought for its passage. Through our free legal helpline, we answer questions every day for many New York City workers regarding their rights under paid sick time, and their experiences inform our testimony today. First, we urge the Council to pass Intro 780 with some modifications. This vital legislation would, among other things, give workers access to their bank of time off for caregiving needs that do not necessarily involve illness, injury, or medical care. This is crucial for mitigating gender inequality in workforce participation, as women bear the brunt of the penalty at work for needing to be absent to provide emergency child care and elder care. We consistently hear from workers who cannot call out from work under any existing legal protection to meet these obligations. Some of them are subject to the strict no-fault attendance policies favored by large employers in meat and food processing, manufacturing, and retail, and can be punished with points or occurrences for a single unprotected absence. With even one fallen through childcare arrangement, these workers may lose their jobs, threatening their livelihoods and the well-being of their dependents. We highlight more reasons this legislation should pass and propose some changes in our written testimony. For example, in Section 1, we recommend expanding the definition of care recipient by removing the requirement that they be a household or family member. In our experience, many life-saving networks of care do not involve a biological or even legal relationship, or the sharing of a household or a family relationship pursuant to the definition already set forth in Section 2912. We urge the committee to consider an intentionally expansive definition of care recipient, because our research into existing family leave laws with the most expansive definitions has shown that such definitions provide protection to workers who need it without leading to abuse or really much increased uptake at all. And we agree with the administration's reasons for requesting modification to 1081 for the reasons that the administration's already set out. So thank you for the opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for calling this hearing today. We really appreciate it. My name is Kathleen Irwin, and I'm the New York City Government Affairs Manager for the New York State Restaurant Association. We represent both independent concepts as well as chain brands, both corporate and franchise operated. For our chain members, Fair Workweek represents a complex set of regulations that they strive to follow, and it impacts their operations on a daily basis. Last April, DCWP revealed at an oversight hearing that they do not have any time frame for informing employers when Fair Workweek complaints are made, and they reconfirmed that today. Instead, they often choose to build a case, which means quietly allowing business operators to continue making the same mistakes with no correction, only to approach them months or even a year later with a hefty fine. This approach is irresponsible and harmful to both workers and employers. Both workers and employers are better off when there is an understanding and compliance with Fair Work Week. If DCWP truly shares that goal, prompt notification of complaints should be common sense enforcement. Instead, the current practice of building a case comes off as both a gotcha tactic and a money grab. Intro 1081 would help address this issue by creating timeframes for DCWP to notify both the complainant and the employer. The complainant, it sounds like, is already being promptly, if not immediately, notified of their complaint being received. This intro would put in place a 30-day timeframe for the complainant to be confirmed and 90 days to notify the employer. We would ask that the 30-day timeframe be applied across the board for both complainant and employer. I would also ask that notification to the employer include several pieces of important practical information. Not the identity of the complainant, but the address of the business location related to the complaint and the general nature of the complaint, i.e., incorrect method of getting approval for a long shift or schedules not being given with enough advance notice. We share the goal of ongoing compliance with Fair Work Week, and for business owners to be able to do the right thing, they should not be kept in the dark when they are making a mistake. Thank you so much. We have additional written comments regarding 780.
Thank you very much. And then the last member of this panel is Rebecca Cook-Mack, who is on Zoom.
Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Rebecca Cook-Mack. I am a staff attorney at Legal Aid in the Employment Law Unit and a member of NELA, the New York, or part of the National Employment Association, and I'm here testifying on behalf of both organizations in support of Intro 780 with some important modifications. But we do urge Council to pass this bill. It will provide New York City workers with much needed ability to take sick leave, and it will keep New York City's sick leave law at the forefront of the national discussion about how do we really care for and protect all workers. The proposed legislation represents an important step forward, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work closely with Councilmember Nurse and her team to make sure that amendments are informed by the experiences of our clients and meet the needs of all New Yorkers. As Shamala testified on behalf of A Better Balance, we agree that the definition should be expanded for care recipients and healthcare providers to be intentionally broad and encompassing. We believe that New Yorkers should be able to use ESTA for time off in response to remote school pivots or public transit closures, as we have experienced in recent years. We believe that the law should allow New Yorkers to use ESTA time to address a care recipient or minor child's educational needs and ensure that no one loses their job to ensure their child can remain in school, and that the law should be expanded to enable the use of ESTA time to meet with legal or social service providers beyond just housing. And we support increasing the number of unpaid sick leave time that people start their job with so that illnesses can really run their course and we don't risk worrying and making other employees sick in the process. So we support this bill. We are so
Your
pleased
time
to
has
hear Council.
expired. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from my colleagues for any member of this panel? No. Great. Thank you very much for the panel. Okay, our next speaker is Christopher Leon Johnson.
Ready?
Yes, we are.
Hi, good afternoon, Councilman Menon, next speaker Menon. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I'm here to support City Nurses Bill, Intro 1180. Yeah, she's gonna be next speaker, bro. We all know it. But I'm here to support a bill, but the one thing that I'm asking Sandy to do, because I know she's the master of introducing 40,000 bills to get around one bill, just like with Intro 606 with the Liberistas, that she needed to introduce a bill to protect the migrants, the undocumented migrants, when they file complaints at the DWCP, because I have a big feeling that since this is Donald Trump's last term as president, I believe that there's a lot of community-based organizations that, to protect themselves from the from migrants complaining about them, they're going to file statuses with ICE. They're going to file complaints with ICE So what we need to start doing is make sure that there's no retaliation against any undocumented migrants that file complaints with the DWCP, because I have a big feeling that they're going to be retaliated against by these community-based organizations. And I'll name one right here. It's Worker Justice Project, that if you look at the reviews on Google, there's many reviews of them being slandered, being slammed because they're not paying their members or they're not getting paid for what they're doing. So I have a big feeling that there's a number of these members at that nonprofit, Worker Justice Project, that is not paying their members, and then they file complaints. I believe that the executive director, Liggy Gulapa, will be calling ICE to try to get those people deported. So what we need to start doing, we have to get these tickets out and know what's going on with tickets, but we have to make sure when the undocumented migrants start filing tickets that they don't get retaliated by ICE. There's no retaliation by ICE at all with these members, and that's all I gotta say. I hope you do the right thing, Sandy, and protect these migrants. I love the migrants too. So thank you, Speaker Menin, for this hearing, and enjoy your day.
Do we have any other speakers? No more speakers. Okay. Okay, that is our last speaker. If we have not called on someone who's in the audience, please go to the Sergeant at Arms and fill out a slip. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay. One second. Okay. Okay. Great. Well, then I want to thank everyone for attending today's hearing. We really appreciate your participation, and that will conclude today's hearing. Thank you very much.